Hi guys, welcome to another video. So today, after last week's little walk through the kit so you all know what I've got and what I'm working with, I decided today we'd try and do something, hopefully, as far as I'm aware, pretty much world's first. I'm going to set out some patterns, we're going to film the whole thing, and then we're going to try and get a pigeon's eye view as they come in, what they should be seeing. It's going to be educational for us all. I don't know what they see when they come in, I can only imagine and hope what they see. But I'm going to do a bit of an instructional. I'm going to build the hide, got a good solid backdrop here. It's actually a position I've used for some good bags of pigeon in the past, and you could well see it again this summer. Come harvest time, tend to get quite a good bag off of here. Last year I think it was 150 or so to my own gun. Beautiful day for it, no wind at all, so we'll make up the wind direction. I'll try and explain it as we go. So hopefully this will be able to show you how that kit that we saw last week actually works in practice in the field when I go out to go and shoot some pigeons. Let's get this hide built. Right guys, so what you just saw there, I haven't put any foliage around it. One, to be honest, I tend not to because it just wastes time in my opinion. I've never had a problem with birds seeing me in this hide. But by all means, if you were actually out here shooting and doing some good, rather than just filming a video, you could take trimmings off any of these bushes here, usually away from your hide so you don't cut a hole where you're trying to hide. Prop them up in front, intertwine them with the netting, however you want to fasten them up there, feel free. Not strictly necessary in my opinion, some people do think it is, that's entirely up to them. However, basic hide. So I've got the poles. One thing I did leave out the other day is that I do also use these, which are just the traffic netting stakes that they use. I've got a few of them, so I get the height off of my main hide poles, and then those just create the actual shape of the hide. As you can see, plenty of room in here. If you've got a dog with you, absolutely fine in there. You can fit your slab of cartridges, gun slip, everything you need, all in there, no problem. Nice and comfortable, plenty of room to shoot. You'll see here with the second layer of net, I loop it so that I've got basically a viewing window. It's a lot easier to see through one part of netting than it is two, but from when the birds are coming from way back, I'm going to be crouched down, so most of my body is going to be hidden in here. Other than that, I've looped it up onto the hedges. Again, it's excellent here because that hedge is really thick, so you've got a really good backdrop. You're not going to see much through there. We'll find out from the bird's eye perspective in a bit. But basically that is exactly how I would set up to start shooting as far as the hide goes. So next up is the decoy patterns. Right, hide's all done, sorted. I can be in there pretty well hidden, I'm hoping. We'll find out. Next up, decoys. Got my trusty bag here. I'm going to set out the first pattern, which is going to be as if the wind is coming, which would be perfect conditions. wind would be coming from over this hedge, straight over my head, blowing across the field, directly in front. And we're going to set the pattern out directly in front of me, about 30 yards to the kill zone, but I'll explain that in a minute. And we're just going to go classic horseshoe or U-shaped with a rotary and a flapper. As you can see here, I'm just throwing the decoys out from standing in the centre of the pattern. I'm throwing them into the shape I want them, but so that they're quite random rather than being methodically placed where it can look a little bit regimental. With all the decoys chucked out into shape, into a formation that I'd chosen, then it's time to go back round, walk round them, putting them all the right way up, and all your pigeon decoys want to be facing roughly into the wind. That's a given for any shape of decoy pattern. It's just decoys tend to always face into the wind, as would a real bird when it's feeding in the flock. Of course, having set all of this up in the perfect position, my pigeon for the day there, aka Chris, turns up and informs me that we're actually setting up in a no-fly zone. So we're going to have to move all of the equipment to the other side of the field so we can carry on. So I didn't bother refilming it, but that's why there's going to be a change of location. And here we are, all set up, new location, same hide setup. Sticking with the horseshoe for now for our first run through. So here we've got the U-shaped pattern as seen from above and in front, i.e. from the hide side. This shows how the pattern lays out. Now to see how it looks from an incoming pigeon point of view. Okay, so here's our pigeon coming down the flight line of the hedgerow. We can now clearly pick up the movement of the rotary and then the flapper. And as we see here, as he's drawn into the movement, the rest of the pattern becomes clear to him and steers him in to exactly where we want him, ready for me to pop up from the hide and take the shot. So as you walk out to the head of the pattern, I've got the rotary to one side at the front edge. And then as the horseshoe comes in and goes right the way round, with a flapper on the furthest edge, quite close to the back, because that's what the birds are going to see as they come in, as you'll see on the footage. Kill zone over here, where pigeon cam is currently landed. We're looking at about 30 yards back to the hide. And then over approximately 20 yards to the side and the front is where I've got my smallish pattern of corvids. So we've got a few flock coated crows in the video from the other day that I've just bought, and my old crow decoys over here, just a random pattern, nothing special. I like to have a good distance between that and the pigeons, just because whilst the crows would give it confidence, it's not realistic if they're in with them. And then we've got the that little magpie decoy over here next to the hedge. It's not going to put anything off. If it gives them a bit of confidence, all the better. And to be fair, 35 yards from the hide, if a magpie does decide to flutter over it, we can take him out as well. And that is the horseshoe or U-shaped decoy pattern for pigeons. Okay, so a quick picture of the lung pattern from pigeon point of view. It's not particularly clear for us to see the decoys against the dirt, so hopefully the rest of this section will make it clear to you. And here's the theory of the lung-shaped pattern. Over to pigeon cam. So once again we see the flapper from a long distance, brings the pigeon in, sees what he thinks is pigeons either side, not fully committed, but you'll see he pauses over the top of those front three just long enough to get a shot off. Right, so the lung-shaped pattern consists of two tightly packed groups, one left, one right, of the kill point, which is here. This is usually used, I tend to use this when the birds are really spooky. They're not liking a magnet. Take that in, leave the flapper towards the head of the main body, again off to one side so they don't think they have to fly over it. Then if the birds are that spooky that they're coming in not committed fully and take back up again, I leave 3 or 4 decoys just at the head of the pattern here so that they flare up over them and giving a chance for usually a second shot. Crows remain the same. The kill point comes in a little bit, probably 5 to 10 meters, usually about 8 meters say, further towards the hide. Again, if they're spooky they may try and land on the outer edge of the pattern, so that's still well within range. And basically that's your lung shape. On to our last pattern for the day, which is an L-shaped pattern. Unfortunately the sun was getting up and it made filming from the air a lot more difficult. Hopefully this illustration is a bit clearer, and let's see it from the pigeon cam. So we join up with our pigeon cam this time, just as he's diverted off of his main flight line, having seen the flapper motion. He's then going to come in alongside, funneled in with the long leg of the L until he reaches that stop point at the front edge where he's going to pitch in to land. Hopefully one more pigeon in the bag for us. Right, final pattern for today. Getting a bit bright and a little bit breezy for the drone now. So finished with an L-shaped pattern, exactly as the name would suggest. We start there. This acts as like a stop at the head of the pattern. So if we had birds flighting right down this hedgerow, as you'll see in the drone footage, they come down the hedgerow, see the movement of the flapper at the head there on the corner. They're going to swing out because they're going to want to come into the wind to try and meet in. Then they're going to come down a runway, as it were, of the pigeons, our decoys, seeing the flapper all the time. They always seem to focus on the flapper as their focal point for landing. Then they're going to make it all the way here into the kill point, which sits about 20 meters from our hide, well within range. So even if they drop a bit short, we're still good. As soon as they open their wings and push their chest out to land, we can take them. Crows, all this time, for all of them, stays the same. There's no real need to move them. As long as they're far enough away, it just completes the picture for the pigeons, really. They're used to seeing crows. Most fields where you're going to get a lot of pigeons on drillings and whatnot, you're going to get crows as well. They don't really mix, so I keep them a bit separate. But I've actually had decoys the whole time we've been filming here. Jackdaws, the whole time we've been filming here, have been coming in. We've even had a couple of pigeons. So basically, guys, that's it for this instalment of your patterns. You'll notice I haven't used the rotary much, partly because the battery's about knackered on it, and also I don't actually use it that much these days. I prefer the flapper, but where that flapper is in most of these, you can exchange it for the rotary. Just make sure you haven't got any decoys on the floor right underneath where it would be, because obviously that's going to be unrealistic. Or you can add in your rotary. Usually I put that right to the front, so it's possibly even in front of your decoys to one side, the opposite side from the flapper. You don't want all your movement on one side. That's up to you. If you find the birds start flaring, it's usually the rotary that I'll bring in first to try and stop that. I hope this has helped some of you guys out. So this has been our pigeon today. Done the jobs, done it really well, really happy with it. Hoping the footage has come out well, we'll see when I edit it. Chris, who owns it, wasn't too keen on me shooting it, so there's no live footage of that. To be fair, probably would have missed it anyway. So even though he didn't want to be on camera, got a bit shy. Cheers Chris, appreciate it.